Hello? Is anyone there? Justin and Jem in the morning. Yeah, Justin and Jem in the morning. Sales and marketing with Justin and Jem. Hot cup of sales and marketing with Justin and Jem. Brulietta, Justin Brulietta is in the room. Ooh, hotel curtains. Love a good hotel curtain. Hello. I'm going to need a mute button today for all the coughing and spluttering.
You sick?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I haven't figured out the mute button thing yet.
No, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
What I was doing just before you popped on and I was listening to my earpods, attempting to open this without an actual opener. So I found a coat hanger. I was like whacking on it, and then I just turned, curtains.
Awesome. But yeah, excellent. Well played.
7:59 p.m. here.
Yeah. So you booked an early one for me. It's 4:59 a.m.
Oh, really?
But to make matters worse, I got kicked out of bed by a 4-year-old at 3:40 a.m. So I was like,
I thought we were at the normal 6.
I'm going to work.
Oh man, we could have gone later.
No, it's fine. It's good. It worked out well in the end.
Yeah, I did not know that it was that time for you.
No, all good.
One of my Google something gave me the wrong translation of time, probably.
Yeah, maybe a daylight saving adjustment or something.
So here's my beautiful next door.
Look at that beautiful mansard roof.
It's very nice. I just realized I see somebody's like kitchen, and they've got like all their like jams and peanut butter and jellies on a thing. It's a good. I don't live in a place like this, so it's very like just interesting to see what's across.
Where are you now?
In Birmingham, yeah. It's the same hotel I was in when for the whole Autodesk thing, and I'm just staying a couple of days longer here in the same place.
Cool. The Autodesk thing happened at this hotel.
No, they haven't.
At the uni.
They have a headquarters. They have an office, which they call the tech center in Birmingham. It's not in the city center, and I'm in the city center. I don't know which way it was. Honestly, we got on buses and got there. You're way more awake than I would be at that time in the morning. I don't understand how you do this. Impressive.
There's something about the novelty that helps. The novelty of, I've always found this, like if I have to get up super early or at a slightly different time, it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then the novelty of getting up at that super early hour kind of keeps me buzzed and awake.
It's not because we're like a morning show, like you're on the radio.
In the morning. I really need to. I don't need a Nerf gun. I was trying to reach for something else.
You're in Nerf gun office.
I really need to like hook this up in real time.
Oh,
in the morning.
Do you play piano?
No.
You just have a piano.
I like pianos.
Sure.
I've never learnt, but I've always enjoyed having musical things to hack around on. But before we went online, I was fiddling with Adobe Audition. I was like, I should be using this for recording the sessions rather than QuickTime.
No.
And then I discovered the effects rack and started putting, delay and reverb on things. It's good fun.
Just all of a sudden, like super reverbed.
Yeah. How's your trip been?
Great, actually. It's been a whirlwind, of... I don't know, left probably at the wrong, I flew at the wrong time probably. If I could have chose better, I think I would have flown earlier in the morning on my time, because I basically flew from 4 p.m. and got there at 11 in the morning. So if I just would have shifted everything, I would have been more on a normal day. And I just basically chose the worst kind of schedule. I got there, was super tired, basically took a nap for an hour. That's basically what everybody else seemed to have done too. So we were kind of all shot for the first, bit. And then, of course, had a full day. And then we went out for drinks till midnight after that. But it was really great. I feel grateful to have been included. Ended up being kind of what I suspected, but it's feedback as well as brainstorming kind of stuff around Fusion 360. Yeah. So saw a lot of cool potential concept stuff. A lot of stuff I'm super excited about.
Cool.
there's like a group of people that they call their advisory board. And I was in that group and got lucky enough to be picked to go. So it was fun. It was a good time. I walked around. I did like 12,000 steps today in the city. And it was sunny, which was really nice because it's been a little dreary. And saw some good stuff. Just nice to be in a different place for the first time in a while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. You'll enjoy that. You do a quiz before the session started to kind of like as an icebreaker, and you put in your own name. The second day I was like, I'm going to call myself the wood guy because I'm the only person in this whole place that works with wood. And I won, of course. So then just that one time. So then the rest of the day, every time I'd have a conversation with somebody I didn't quite know, they're like, you the wood guy? Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah. How have you been?
Fine.
A little sick?
Sick. Yeah, I've been a little sick this week. So you'll have to excuse my husky voice because I lost my voice on Tuesday.
You take up smoking?
I had a big day in Melbourne, which I shouldn't have done, but I had some site visits and I felt okay on the day.
Oh, yeah.
And by the end of the day, I was at a client's place and we were doing some R&D stuff and my voice just started slipping away. It's been really crappy ever since, but an incredibly unproductive week for me.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And partly because, I wasn't feeling well, but also I just feel like I've lost my flow with work a bit. Not exactly procrastinating, but being very ineffective at times. And so, really dropped the ball in terms of what I had to achieve this week, which was frustrating.
Yeah. Had a few of those.
Yeah. Yeah. By Thursday night, I was pretty annoyed with myself. And then Friday, day off, different headspace. I was at home and just had a bit of time and fiddling around in Rhino on that Kitta parts configurator idea. And it was just really nice sort of headspace to be in. More of a sort of playful, like I knew, I've got a list of sort of quotes that I felt like I should have got out this week and I didn't.
So you're getting a decent amount of
in that space of
custom quotes for those? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing sort of one a day, typically, something like that.
Pretty good.
And they do take a bit of time. They do take a bit of time to put together and price. So that'll be a bit of a time saver. That Rhino file that sort of patches it all together. That's great fun.
I just imagined, we'll put a link to it, but you made a little video for Instagram I saw, and I was just imagining some kind of like slider in Grasshopper that like you'd crank up like rows or like, and it just kind of assembles.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, it'd be kind of a little too arbitrary probably, but some kind of randomizer and snap points, and that's the fun of Grasshopper though.
Yeah, I've always found that challenging with our shelving products because typically they are kind of eccentric and staggered, and particularly with Kitta parts, you can kind of arrange it in almost a sort of infinite number of configurations. But even our old slot together shelving, it was just a little bit too erratic or organic or something to ever sort of work out how to build that out parametrically.
Yeah, for sure.
In a really expandable fashion. I used to try and build Fusion models and Grasshopper models of it, and I could never get it to be as dynamic as I wanted it to be because it just had that sort of inorganic, a little bit too organic. Yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of imagine maybe like a pattern, a rectangular pattern in Fusion with suppressions or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But even that wouldn't really, one of those things that you think that you could just do it anyway and it would look good, but most likely it actually takes a few attempts to like make it actually look good or like work in the space or something.
I mean, with the bookshelves, you could maybe do it sort of more algorithmically because all the spacings are for book dimensions.
Yeah.
And so maybe there'd be a way to kind of get a program to like really optimize and go slot stuff in. It's not so much about how it looks, it's about optimizing book storage. But for a product like Kitta parts, which is a bit more display aesthetic, look nice in a room. Yeah, I don't know.
But I was trying to imagine, and it's like you get halfway through one of these Grasshopper scripts in your head, or even like a scratch of it, and it is like doing the slider, you'd be finding like endpoints of dowels, and when the slider would be like trying to pull them across in a grid until they found something to snap to, and then like the nearest point. And by like scaling the size of the X and Y and Z, it could, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still like too much work probably for how easy you made it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Actually worked pretty well for the knack wall stuff. I just realized like that little like thing you're doing, like being able to drop stuff in and quote it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my shortcut for now until we can work out a way to give customers direct access to something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That'll just speed up my quoting workflow. Get more quotes out the door. I definitely missed the ball this week. Quotes by week. What did I?
Don't do it.
How short was I? Yeah, and I did. Quoted 30K and I should be doing 50 a week.
Oh, man.
And a lot of that was Aaron, actually. Aaron did most pull, definitely kept the show on the road this week.
I just got a text from my wife and it just blew my eardrums. I don't know why it's so loud.
Is it her birthday today?
Yeah.
I saw that.
She was very selfless. Monday was our anniversary. And then today is her birthday.
Oh, wow.
I had some plans for that. So it wasn't. We also went out, kind of celebrated our anniversary through the weekend. So the previous weekend. So that worked out nice. But
yeah, cool.
It always feels a little bit odd. It is strange to go on the one trip through that time alone.
Yeah.
She also loves to travel, especially to Europe.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah,
we can hit the road together.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you about all the stuff I saw at the Fusion things. It's like it's just ringing around my head. Like, oh my god, you're gonna love some of this stuff.
Does that make the product more frustrating to use, knowing that there's functionality that could or might be there but isn't there yet?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I had some time to give them feedback about in person, but I've been using M1 computers since they came out, and it's taken forever. That's been one of the things that's been driving me crazy. I've actually considered, you're gonna laugh, but grabbing a Windows PC that we have in our mill room and just using that for a while. I just felt when I really want to get into CAM, I feel my computer half the time just doesn't want to work. It's like being eaten to death by the RAM needs of Fusion.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
This is on your M1 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it would have helped. My advice for sure is to get more than 16 gigs of RAM, because it just, in my experience so far, that's the thing. It usually, once it hits that, it kind of just keeps eating RAM until it runs out, and then it's like, I got to do something, and it like swaps, and yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy with Fusion on my.
That's good.
MacBook. At the same time, I'm not using it that heavily at the moment.
Yeah.
John does all the CAM on my previous laptop, which is a ThinkPad.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh does all the sort of heavy detailing on his PC laptop as well. So I guess I'm using it pretty lightly, but I am frustrated by like the Rhino performance on it.
Yeah, definitely.
But making do.
Yeah. You're probably more in the honeymoon phase of having the new computer, whereas like now I'm in like the second time I was like, oh, this is a little bit faster, but then I have too many days of feeling like my computer is going to melt from RAM overuse, and then it's really one of the few programs that's like that too. So
yeah, okay. Excuse me.
This is kind of a weird little thing that I put in. It hasn't been as successful as one would liked, but I put this little thing in on the Dust Boot product page. I was trying to think through, catch them before they leave, if they have questions and I haven't answered it, or it's just there's too much to digest. And my thought was to I made a button that goes to a Airtable form. And the idea was twofold. So it'd be like if John found the Dust Boot and wanted to send it to you.
Yeah.
It captures the email and sends an email through Airtable with a cut sheet of the information about the Dust Boot. And then at the end of that form, you can say, contact me for follow-up. And you can also just send it to yourself. It'll CC you. There's two options. And I've had 2 people do that within like 2 days of it going live on there. And I was like,
Cool.
whew, that seemed worth my time. So you have like half an hour to make a form and put a button on the page. And then you get basically like a lead for a conversation, at least. And both of them had a couple questions that they just wanted answered. And I don't know whether that made it easier or that was just the first thing they saw, but I wasn't getting really a ton of those questions previously. So worked out already. And I can imagine it being useful for you potentially with like if you had, I don't know if that's a common thing, but I know with businesses in particular, right? You have a different buying process than somebody just paying with a credit card, like a consumer. So
Yeah. On your Dust Boot page.
yeah, underneath the photos on the left is one, and then underneath the benefits in the center, there's another one. It's like it says something like email me a cut sheet or something like that.
What? I'm not familiar with the expression cut sheet. What does that
spec
mean?
sheet?
Okay.
One sheet. There's a few names for it. I could probably like A/B test it, but I tried.
Interesting. So it's kind of just putting the spec sheet behind not a paywall, but behind an email capture wall, right?
And I considered just like, I'm not really trying to like capture their info. Like I genuinely was thinking in the beginning, I know a decent amount of people use their email like a bookmark or like a way to remember stuff. So they'll like email themselves things. Right. And so that kind of idea of like, oh, I should send this to my manager or our foreman and so that was where the first part of that idea came, but I don't have any reason to keep that a secret. It just was like the way I thought to do it, I guess, at first.
That's cool. And then does that automatically send a thing?
You could send it to yourself. Yeah. Send Gmail from the automation in when a form comes in.
Yep. Cool.
And I made a PDF that has that information, just basically all the info you could want on one sheet. So you could like print it out and walk it over to somebody and say, here, we should get this,
Yeah, nice. It's a cool idea.
Yeah. I don't know
I just tried it out.
Nice. I'll probably get an email.
Go to back. Oh, look at your fancy PDF. Ooh, with graphs and QR codes.
Are you sold?
I'm sold.
I don't know. I'll probably refine the idea over time, but I was surprised. I got one within 24 hours of putting that on the website. Like that it immediately converted somebody. And I always think like that's got to be better than them leaving and forgetting about it. It's somewhere else in their hands.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Good idea. I like it.
No.
Yeah, my only feedback would be that an Australian wouldn't know what cut sheet means, but
what would you call that?
Spec sheet.
Yeah, good. That's just as good.
In the context of CNC stuff, cut sheet to me just sounds like a strange term for like cutting files.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Speaking of copy, I've been toying with the idea of bringing a copywriter on board.
Full time?
No. Oh,
I was going to say, dang.
Dang. No, there's someone in town who I know is a copywriter, and she works as a contractor for various small businesses. And I've been meaning to have a coffee with her and just explore that idea. Yeah. Because the more I learn about marketing, I feel like the less I know about copywriting, and I feel like it's a pretty important thing.
Sure.
So I'd love to have a chat with her and explore that, but yeah, we'll see. I'll report back.
Definitely something I've thought about. Definitely haven't made it to the place where I feel like that would be smart, but it's definitely something I would do because I'm not a good writer, and nobody else I've really had nobody else that probably would be qualified either. So I can imagine my friend Chester hires somebody to do copywriting for their products locally, thinks it's a good idea. And I was like, I would love to do that.
Yeah, cool. How's progress back home in the shop?
Pretty good, I think. I got photos. We got the kind of like next round of prototypes of our duct tower.
Oh, cool.
And so there's like powder coat versions now. We revised it in a couple different ways, and we're testing different support methods, whether it needs like a brace or a little thicker material. And there's kind of always like this back and forth between more pieces versus thicker material. for us. So it's like a different, whether it's steel or aluminum, and the weight benefits, costs, and so we're just honestly, I think at this point, like Ricky said, they looked great, worked pretty well. So just kind of picking at this point which one's the best method, and should be able to start selling those soon, I think.
Awesome.
We got brushes for the dust boot, the stock, like off the shelf version, and putting it together a final time. And then we're going to hopefully just start running actual parts. So should be this week. I think they'll start shipping. I'm hoping it's upcoming week.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Were you waiting on the brushes to finalize the acetyl components?
Yeah. Trickier than, to get the kind of recipe right. And then I think once we get it, it will be pretty smooth. But I didn't want to start like the cutting actually won't take that long, like all told, it would be more costly and wasteful to have half of it cut and then have to change something. So once it starts, it shouldn't be too bad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy machining acetyl because of how well it holds detail and features. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Laura uses it in her sculptures quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And buys it in sheets.
Yep.
And I'm typically Laura's machinist.
Yeah, I bet.
On weekends and after hours. And I think I've learned a lot machining acetyl. It's kind of, other than making aluminium parts, it's kind of the closest I've got to being a proper machinist.
Yeah. It's very solid and stable, way differently than wood.
Yeah.
Cut quite a bit of it for a client where we did like 50 runs of his product, where it had 2 sizes of acetyl, polycarbonate, and UHMW. So like we got pretty good at, they couldn't have any fuzz on any of the holes that went through, and there was like 300 holes a sheet. We got pretty good at doing that well.
Have you ever done thread milling on your router on the Shop Saver?
No, but you've made me think about it a lot after seeing you guys do it.
I remember I bought some little M6 multi-thread, like multi-pitch thread mills years ago because I wanted to do small thread milling operations. I had some ideas for a product. I never set it up. I still, to this day, I don't think I've used a whatever they're called, a multi-thread thread mill.
I haven't either
yet. I've only used those single points.
Yeah. I've only used, I always forget the name, form tool, thread forming. It actually just presses in, it twists and press. It doesn't cut. It's crazy. It takes a lot of torque.
Tap.
Yeah.
On the mill.
Yeah. Rigid tapping. That's what it's called. I can never, there's so many damn types. I'd only done that a couple times. It actually is surprisingly, I'm sure it's easy for most people, but I have to go and look it up. Andy had done the kind of R&D to figure out there's a formula. It correlates to your pitch, I believe. That's how you get your like feed rate, which is very interesting. And then it's terrifying. It gets to the bottom, stops, goes backwards on its own.
Yeah, I can't imagine the HSD spindles liking any of that low speed, high torque stuff.
No, ours can't do that because it doesn't index the cutter at all.
Oh, like that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't have any capability to, I think there is one of them. I think it, like maybe the next level up of the Shop Savers do have an option.
Yeah, right.
Ours is just a spinning machine.
Yeah.
I did learn, maybe this is more widely known, but it kind of blew my mind. I went to a session on probing, mostly for like mills with like Renaissance probes. And it's just like super smart people that have been making code for like, and studying the metrology of how probing works, which I said in the session, because I was like, he went through this whole thing on how you can, like you need to calibrate probes, of course, but usually like dial them in with an indicator. So there's as little run out as, feasibly possible. But I didn't think about this. Like our Renaissance OMP40, depending on which way it touches, will have a different amount of accuracy.
Yeah.
And because it's literally just a switch inside, and he was just talking about all the different little factors. I mean, it amounts to things that in my interests for accuracy isn't reasonable, but the probe always has to come in the same way then, or otherwise it...
Yeah.
I was God, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've seen they've brought in a bunch of probing stuff into Fusion over the last few years, which is cool.
Yeah, I think
I don't know it. I don't know anything about it.
it's in preview, I believe.
Yeah,
but
okay.
which means like anybody can use it that has Fusion. One of those feature flags. You can do live machine connection for your probe. Only Haas's can do it currently, but I saw it in person and it was, I mean, for a lot of machines, right? Like you could do it with a 3D printer, right? But for some reason, because it's connected between a computer with Fusion Open and a Haas VF2, it's kind of mind blowing because of how like disconnected those things have been for so long. There's probing,
Yeah.
and every time it would hit a probe spot, you'd see where the probe was, like in a simulation in manufacturing space, and then the machine would be in that spot, and it would check whether it was
Cool.
good or not, and then you can like update that. Or the one that I thought was really cool was part alignment, so it'll actually like recalibrate everything, and it can be in like 3, 4, or 5 axes. It's just
Awesome.
very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I'm hoping there's more adoption of that, but it takes working with the machine tool vendors, I guess, which makes sense.
Yeah, very, very closely, I imagine, to get all of that to work.
Yeah.
Mm.
Put some points in the bucket of buying a Haas to me, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you do your thing? The presentation? Or
It's coming up this week.
Hope you get
Monday
your voice
night.
back.
Yeah, I know.
Dad's on voice rest all weekend. I got a little bit of work on the plane over. It's such a weird... Everybody like fell asleep on the plane from Portland to Amsterdam at like 9 p.m. And I was like, I guess I'm the only one awake on the plane. It seems, I mean, there's a few people, but all the lights were off but mine. And I was like sketching and like working in Fusion. And I was working on trying to figure out the last few things on how I want to revise the pedestals for our ATC rack. I keep having more people, which is awesome, like ask about when they'll be available. And I think the people, especially with the 5 foot wide machines, I don't remember where I have it, notes about it. Maybe it's just a video I made that they can get like 16 tools. They're like salivating for that idea because it's a significant amount more than you can get any other way. It'll be nice.
Yeah, try and capture that interest. Get on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think
that's cool.
I mean, one of the biggest challenge, I think I've already talked about it, but the biggest challenge is that I think I'm going to try and like not overthink and just get them out there for sale. Did you say this last time? Might have been my friend Joe, but it was just suggesting to like try to start a group of like basically beta test customers that would still be buying it, but they have the understanding that we're not going to have like a full-fledged guide of how to install them. We have the code, like how you can change the WinCNC things as a document, but I think there's a lot of customers that could be needing more of a guided tour, like one-on-one. That part seems daunting to me with trying to facilitate that remotely of like, how do I tap into the table and like, do all the modifications the machine would need, which isn't extensive, but if you've not done any, if you buy the machine and just run it and don't think about the code or the stuff like that, that's where I get a little like gun shy of selling hopefully a lot of them and then having to do like one-on-one support to get each one installed, But
yeah, there's a lot of work in that documentation for sure. So getting them out to a select group who don't need that support, why not?
Yeah.
Get feedback faster. Close that feedback loop.
I'm just salivating too to get those parts making up on the mill because it just sits there too much. And it's like finally a thing that we'll just be able to run for a bit, make itself some money.
Yeah.
Just very fun.
Yeah, I've got to keep those machines moving.
This one will literally start rusting inside if I don't keep it properly conditioned. How's the pencil sharpener been? Have you done anything with that lately? You're not running it anymore.
Not personally, no. It's reasonably busy. It's still got heaps of capacity on it.
Yeah.
Heaps. But yeah, John's been doing a bunch of R&D on it and running production parts. It's been working on that new aluminium hook detail.
Is that from the router?
Yeah, that's on the router.
Nice.
And then all the little custom dowel bolts and things on the pencil sharpener.
Mm-hmm.
That's been cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that machine does sit dormant for days out of the week just because it's too efficient. It's good. It's good headroom for us
Yeah,
to know that we have that capacity.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, a comparison. It doesn't seem a problem. If it cost you $1 million and it sat there all the time, it would have probably been, stupid, capital wise, but like that it's so cost effective. Yeah. It's pretty small.
Yeah,
Doesn't take up a bunch of floor space.
No. Yeah. Vertical, small footprint, which is cool too in the sense of if we ever got to a point where we needed more output, we could clone it, make another one and put it next to it.
Yeah.
Have a little army of pencil sharpeners. That's kind of the dream, I think.
That's an army of pencil sharpeners.
Just continue to expand the Kitta parts universe until we need that. But
can your bar feeder someday be like a pencil box open? And they just kind of slide it out and in, and then you can call it the pencil box.
Yeah. Move to lights out machining. I'd have to fix the interference issue that it gets at the moment. I think there's some weird electrical interference thing, which is wigging out the USB drives. Comes up with this USB error intermittently.
Yeah.
The machine just stops and you have to walk over and reset it and go again. And that kind of limits any sort of fully hands-off operation at the moment.
Yeah.
Not sure what's causing it.
Like somebody with a lot more electrical engineering knowledge about like where to put a ferrite or like a power cleaner or something.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. It seems to be linked to when the Makita spindles switch off, power down off the relay. And there's like a little, you can almost see it in the screen. There's like a little flicker of power, sort of power spike or something as the spindles shut down. And then, not always, but when that USB error triggers, it's often at that point. A little bit of dirty power to clean up. But well beyond my pay grade and understanding of electrical things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And I find the Masso platform a little bit like there's heaps of stuff online, but it's kind of in that weird space of like semi-industrial, but also hobby.
Yeah.
Home-built machines. And so I think because of how many controllers they have in the home-built space, they're quite protective of their time. Like it's very hard to pick up the phone, and you can't just pick up the phone and talk to a Masso tech because they keep everyone at like arm's length of like, oh, have you looked in the forums? Like go and answer your own question in the forum because that's where like the hobby space exists.
Interesting.
Whereas we're kind of at the industrial end and we just want to pick up the phone and get a human to talk through a technical issue. So I don't know.
I wonder if you can, I don't know, somehow like use the clout of how you've used it in a unique way and show it on another level to like somebody that the owner or something, right? Somebody that's up higher, like through like not through a conventional means. I don't know how you get a hold of that person. How often it's like Instagram DM that works the best, right? Like,
well, yeah. When the pencil sharpener came online, Masso did DM us and we're interested in using it as like a promo example. I don't know if anything ever happened with that. I did send them some video footage at one stage, but
you're like, only if I get some direct support.
That was a marketing contact rather than a technical contact. But how much longer are you there?
Sunday morning, very early.
It's Friday for you now, right?
It is Friday, yes. I had to think for.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Going to a soccer match tomorrow, which will be fun.
Oh, cool.
I like going to international. I guess it's just foreign to me soccer matches, and the crowds and the experience is always very unique, even if it's the same game. Like it's always unique and interesting. Somebody recommended like this pot pie that has curry in it at the game, and I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Awesome. Is that not a thing back home?
I've never had curry in a pot pie before.
Oh, sorry, not in the pie, but just like good Indian food. Is that hard to get?
Yeah, for sure. It seems British people will probably be mad at me for this. The food is very bland here. It's very bland. And I think they kind of know that too. And so I had this thought as I was chatting with Aaron about it. I was like, I wonder if people love Indian food. It like has a lot of flavor and spice to it. You know, it's like unique. It's just so different in comparison. I had some actually tonight at a pretty good place too. I did have the fish and chips, of course, as well. A couple nights ago. Making the rounds of, and I've had English breakfast, which was not as weird as I was expecting. It's just different from what I've had before, I guess, or what I'm used to. Sausages and baked beans and what are the eggs? Boiled eggs? Boiled eggs?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that beer looks pretty good.
Pretty good at 5 a.m.
5:49. Yeah.
It does taste better. I wonder if it's just like being here that makes it feel like it tastes different than it does in America.
Cool.
Yeah. I find it very hard to get basically any work done. I'd like wake up a little bit early one morning and I do like some emails, which is like 8 hours ahead of home. I was like, do I send quotes in the middle of the night for people? Like, is that weird? And I have like an auto response on my emails. They would at least have known that I'm not around.
Are you working in G Suite or what's your mail at?
Yeah. G Suite. Yeah, typically. But those quotient, I like send quotes directly. Oh yeah, you can send later now.
Directly.
Damn it.
In Quotient.
Yeah.
I know you can in G Suite. Can you do that in Quotient?
Yeah,
too?
that just started the last month. You can now send later, and I totally forgot that was a thing.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Cool.
I did start after we were chatting about that zero quotient to zero connection in Zapier. I was playing with it the other day and I didn't finish it because it doesn't quite do everything that I want it to do, I don't think. But I think it's very feasible if you didn't need the detail of like line items in your invoices and inside of Zero. Like if you're translating things from Quotient, or if you just want like the total, their customers' information, like you could straight up like do the whole process and probably do an automatic send invoice email from Zapier. Once the quote is accepted, it's like totally possible.
Yeah, absolutely. That bit's easy enough, I think. I was talking to Sarah about that during the week, and I think because we've built our system in Airtable really around that connection between Airtable and Zero, and now we've been trying to make Quotient work. Quotient sits outside our system a little bit, so we've got this weird workflow where if a job is approved in Quotient, it's still Airtable is always the master.
Mm-hmm.
So when a quote is marked as 1 in Airtable, it pulls that quote information through into production.
Yeah.
So the way we've got it set up at the moment is Airtable's constantly monitoring Zero, looking for approved invoices and looking and matching reference numbers and going, cool, quote 500 was approved, looking for a unique identifier that was assigned to a line item quote in Airtable, and then going, cool, grab that and pull that through into production status. So Quotient currently is kind of sitting outside of that workflow. So we're making a little bit more work for ourselves. And Sarah, I think, would just dump Quotient because she just feels like it's unnecessary work. But I'm still convinced that it's going to be better for us in terms of quote conversions.
Oh, so, yeah, I bet so too. So you were sending quotes through Zero before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be very clunky. I tried that a couple times. I didn't like it particularly.
Yeah. I think our ideal would be to send quotes directly from Airtable, like using Page Designer or something.
You could totally do that.
But it's hard to do like that lovely, like optional multiple choice stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Does.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking too, you could easily use the formatter in Zapier to like send a deposit only invoice by just cutting it. If you do like a percentage, you could easily cut the total in half and probably even create 2 invoices. Like we usually have a deposit and a final because people pay by card pretty often. So they have to have, you can't do partial payments in Zero here.
Yeah.
Blah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I had an interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody that was very interested to talk about the potential of Airtable connecting to Fusion somehow. They like came up to me at lunch. Ironically, the whole table that I was sitting with was all their customers, and they all used Airtable as well for their. It's like it's become like a thing. And I think it's probably from podcast. I'm guessing there's a lot of machine shops that use it. Anyway, there's no
What sort of connections?
Well, I just deterred other people were using it, and that it's a really powerful tool and has all this capability for, anybody that wants to use it. And my desire initially would be that it can connect to our tool library, pull tool library data back and forth, because we keep all that information in Airtable, but then we also keep all of it in Fusion. It's disconnected. So it'd be a good way to be able to pull back and forth like numbers and quantity. And I mean, you could even, similar to probably how like you manage a Shopify like that, right? You could hopefully write back and forth. I said, even if the simple answer is to just allow Zapier to connect, I'm sure a lot of people would be happy with that too. And I'm sure there's a huge conversation about how that all works, but they're pretty open about using the API in general. It's just, you got to know how to code to like do that.
Who's open? Autodesk or?
Yeah, Fusion has a pretty decent API capability.
Oh, we just need to learn how to code. That's going to be my retirement plan, I think, coding.
Yeah, might be too late. It'll be all be automatic by then. It'll be like a AI Dolly for code.
That already exists, doesn't it?
Probably. I mean, that's kind of what Airtable is, right? It's like no code application creation, basically. And there's like all these other things that I know Rob Lockwood uses something that like creates apps by no code. Grimsmo talks about that thing he uses for GURP. I don't remember what that was called.
App Sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've heard a lot of good things about App Sheets.
I played with that, actually. It's funny, like right before you started talking about that, somebody brought that up.
Sorry, Airtable. Don't look. Don't listen.
So much work to change that kind of stuff, though.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. I did build since last week. We've got one client who's like our biggest client. We have a really good working relationship. I go to their office pretty much every week for 2 or 3 hours and just work on R&D and upcoming projects and stuff.
Yep.
We kind of work quite collaboratively on designs, and he's pretty much always got jobs in our system. And so I filtered out a production view in Airtable the other day, just his jobs, and just kind of reduced like noise of how many fields were visible, and just shared a live link to that. So he can now click on a link and just see like what status his jobs are at and when our projected completion dates are. And because he has to, he's often planning, trucks and pickups and things, and it's good. It was a nice little experiment.
Yeah. I had a couple people message about that.
Me too.
Yeah. The pizza tracker.
Yeah. Someone sent me a link to like an RV company. Thank you, person, for sending that through. An RV company that does like 40 RVs a week or something. And you can go onto this page on their website, and it's basically, they obviously use Airtable because you can search pretty much exactly that. Like you can search the job number and pull up the status of your vehicle.
Oh, you should put a link to the...
I'll share that link. Yeah.
RV company pizza tracker. Alex wrote me back. He said, you heard on the podcast, we were talking about Objective Frames. The guy that sent me that book recommendation. And he's done a ton with Airtable. I think he uses Bubble Sheets. You can do it with data from Airtable using Bubble. He's built a pizza tracker for his clients.
Cool. Yeah, Bubble's another one of those no-code platforms, isn't it? I still haven't adjusted to workspaces in Apple. I lose things constantly. I have too many desktops open.
I just don't use them because of that reason, because I can't figure out where stuff is. Just all goes in one big bucket.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I don't have anywhere to be, but I don't want to make this impossible to edit for Don either.
That's kind of you.
He doesn't get to choose.
Oh, so grumpy this morning, getting pushed out of a warm bed by a petulant 4-year-old.
Oh, God.
So I'm out of here.
Here you go, Mom. I'm sick.
Well, Laura's great at staying really calm and just like collected it, whereas I'm just like, I just get really frustrated and angry that I'm being pushed out of a warm bed.
Oh, I can't imagine.
What's Erin doing for her birthday?
She's doing a thing with her girlfriends. Yeah. She seems like she's got things figured out and planned for entertaining
Cool.
for the weekend. I'm not looking forward to the flight back. I would like to just like transport back real quick, but that's not how that works.
Teleport.
Mm-hmm.
Keep me up, Don.
There's a couple of the guys from like the Netherlands that took a 1 hour flight here. They're like messaging us. We're all here already. They're like, "What's the weather like? Should I bring shorts?" Literally like
Come on.
1 hour, and they like, left after the final session. We're home before we had like started dinner. It was so fast.
Crazy. Yeah.
How long's a flight to the UK for you? Is that like about as far as it gets?
Like 23 hours or something.
Oh man,
Something horrible.
lose a day.
Yeah. I've only done that once or twice, but
It is-
it's a heavy one.
It's an eerie thing. I think because you're probably somewhat similar because of so much of America is such a big thing. That's usually where I end up flying. It's pretty eerie to be like flying north over like Canada, over like not quite to the Antarctic. What's the north side? I don't remember.
The Arctic Circle.
Yeah, Iceland and Greenland, and I couldn't see out the window, but I'd see on the map saying and be like, "Oh God, here we go! We're going over the water in this cold water." Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else.
Cool. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, it's pretty. Might just sit at home. Been out so late the last few nights.
Yeah, nice.
Not that young anymore. Used to watching Netflix and going to bed. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Hope you feel better.
Good. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Have a good night.
See
See ya. Bye.
I lost my voice. We were at like a drag bar. It was so loud that we were just yelling to each other the whole time, talking. And at one point, I was talking to this guy from Autodesk, and it just stopped. I just started squeaking. It was just, I sound like a teen kid.